I've found this year, Gus, when I'm wagering that my initial instinct is usually right. So I'm just going to go through a couple of games here, and I want to get your reaction.
Okay.
Just
this is always fun, right?
I just found like my initial, since we watch so much college basketball, and we're always, my initial reaction is always usually right. Ready? I'm going by KenPom. Wake Forest -7 at home over Miami. That's a lot of points. That's just my first reaction. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a lot of points, too, and I think Miami still thinks they have a crack at this thing, and they've played every big game pretty close. I think it's too much. Too much.
Drake at Bradley, 3. I'll take Bradley.
Yeah, I will, too.
Mississippi State at Strong-Ass Offer. Strong-Ass Offer -8.
Really?
Yeah, they have an 8.
How are you not taking Mississippi State there?
Yeah, it's a lot of points. They're coming off a loss. By the way, can we give a quick shout out here? Tom Noy, love coming on the podcast. Folks, the team that is leading the Atlantic Coast Conference is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 10-3. Actually, they're probably Duke won tonight, so Duke is 10-3 also. But coming into tonight, Notre Dame was leading the conference. They are on the road at Clemson. They're going to be favored by 3. And they're doing this without Leshevsky, who hopefully will be back for this game. If he's back, I like them. If he's not back, are we taking Brad Bremel getting 3 at home?
No, I think this goes back to your premise earlier. I love Notre Dame in that spot. Are you kidding me?
I agree. Colorado State hosting Fresno. I understand Orlando Robinson. Folks, let's just take it easy on Fresno a little bit. I get it. You know, they were playing very well, and Jamal Baker, losing him is a critical piece to this team. They have to make threes with Robinson. I just think Colorado State's going to run him off the floor. This game is going to be Colorado State by 3 or 4. Grab it right away.
Yep.
They are not losing this game. So I'm taking Colorado State, no problem there. Iona going to Siena. I'm going to take 10 with Carm. I'm going to talk to Coach Massarello. We had it on the YouTube channel. I think this is a tough spot for them. They're going to play hard. I'm expecting Iowa to win, Gus, but if it's going to be 10 or 11, you're going to give me with Coach Parm here, I'll take it in 2 seconds, no problem.
He's proven that he can do that.
St. Bonaventure, St. Louis. I love St. Louis at home. 8's a lot. I know St. Bonnie's is going the wrong direction, but 8 is an awful lot. And I have no interest in Xavier whatsoever. I'll take UConn. I just told you I didn't like UConn. But in this situation, I don't trust Xavier at all. I expect Baylor to play very well at home. They need to make sure that they're healthy. I want to see, Flagler, is he healthy? LJ Cryer did not play. I think he's a difference maker for them. But Absolutely. I do not trust Texas. I think that was a great win over Kansas. But I do not see staying power with Texas whatsoever. I don't. I think Chris Beard's first year has been really solid.
Yeah.
But I think Baylor's at a different level. I will be taking Baylor in that game. Like I said, Ohio State big against Michigan. Not buying the Michigan turnaround right now.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the other part with you mentioned with Texas, they're going to be able to get up for these games. But I think Texas finding consistency is going to be tricky because of the roster makeup. Every other team in college basketball has super seniors coming back, transfers that have been in, and continuity on both the offensive and defensive end. That's what Texas lacks. So I think game to game, they're really interesting. But as far as putting them on a streak, I think that's a little tricky.
Welcome to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randall and Gus Kearns.
Welcome in, listeners, to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast, where we're always talking everything college hoops. You could have been anywhere else on the dial, but you chose to be here with us, Mike and Gus, and we appreciate that. Mike, we have Selection Sunday. The preview show, not Selection Sunday, the preview show for the top 4 seeds coming up after the Super Bowl. I'm much more excited about this than any NASCAR race. What says you?
No one gets more excited for the bracket preview show than me. It's not possible. On Twitter, I've put out multiple things. I'm riveted. You've seen me when I'm 15 years old get riveted to the NBA draft like you were. except we're a little bit more mature. I was dunking on a Nerf hoop, whatever. Point is, I am ready. I cannot wait. I want to get all 16 right and in the right region. And if I do, I will put out that Eddie Murphy gift from Trading Places on the beach with my champagne, wiping my lips. As I did tonight, Gus, when I got my 4 for 4 prop, I do the props in the Discord there in 4 for 4 football. Great people, amazing people, brought me aboard. I don't know why. So I'm doing well. And tonight, I had a Bam Adebayo under about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Points, rebounds, assists that I lost. It was a Miss Randall recommendation. She had a feeling. We lost it because they went, I believe, to 3, maybe 4 overtimes. We lost the under.
That's going to do it then.
By one, Gus. By one. Okay. Very strong performance, Miss Randall. Tonight, picked an under again. Did not like it against the Hornets. And we were fine. And then there's overtime. And then there's double overtime. Gus, we still got it. It was under 37.5 points, rebounds, assists. Bam only had 33. That's a big win for an under. Yeah.
Double OT. What are the chances that you're going to pick an under and both of those games go into multiple overtime?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have this thing. Mrs. Randall likes the Heat. I don't know why she likes Hero. She likes Jimmy Butler. So we have some Heat thing going on. I tried to convince her to pick Max Strus, but she refused. So, okay. And we're good.
Max Strus playing very well. And of course, one of the Martin twins is there, although he unfortunately got injured recently. The Heat have a couple of cool things going on. They've definitely been paying attention to draft Twitter, and it seems like that's really paid off for them, whether it be Kendrick Nunn or otherwise. Yes.
A great call, Kendrick Nunn. Very good.
This Saturday, we're going to be taking a look at CBS. I think all eyes are going to be glued there because we're going to want to take a peek at who are the 16 teams that are going to get named with a number 1, a number 2, or a number 3, or number 4 seed next to their name and which region they're going to be in. For this, exercise or this, conversation, we'll try to talk out what teams might fall where, and then maybe give some valid arguments back and forth. I know that you've really, you have dug deep and invested in this at big time. So why don't you try to lead some of the conversation here, and then I'll follow up and see where I can maybe, pick some nits or something like that.
I put my last one out on February 7th. I will have an update tomorrow, guys, or look for Saturday morning, one or the other. I will have an update, my official submission. It's like when I do the NFL draft and you try to predict. So the last one I put out, which was on February 7th, just to give you an idea, the 4 brackets and the 4 teams in each region and where they fell. So let's begin. There's the East in Philly, the South in San Antonio, the Midwest in Chicago, the West in San Francisco. I've gone back since 2017 and studied every one of these. Couple things you have to think about. First, Gus, they really do value location. So it matters where the teams are seated and how close they have to be. Number 2, no one cares about the rankings, and no one cares about where you are in the conference. So, for example, I am positive Villanova will be ranked higher than Providence, even though Providence is higher in the Big East. Nobody cares about that. So those things are irrelevant. What does matter are quad 1 wins, strength of schedule, particularly, Gus, non-conference strength of schedule, those sort of things. So here we go. Let's look at the 1 seeds. Let's throw some names out. Tell me what you think. Have you heard of Gonzaga? They will be the overall number 1 seed, Gus, and I think they're in the West. So we'll put them in San Francisco. Do you have any problem with that?
No, I don't think we have any problem with that. I do think it's enticing to pay attention because usually we try to, drag teams out West, but I think the West is just going to be loaded.
I actually think, Gus, this year they're dragging them East, and I'll get into that in a minute. Now, the second team, I think if you look at totality of schedule, it is certainly Auburn.
Sure.
I think they are 24-2, 7-2, Gus, against quad 1. That's really solid. Gonzaga 6-2 against quad 1. No bad losses for Auburn, Gus. No quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 losses.
Correct. That's what I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up that they really haven't had that clunker loss that makes you scratch your head.
Nope. 17-0 against those 3 quadrants. Non-conference strength of schedule is very important. The committee there, 80th. Gonzaga is a solid 58th. So everything fits to Auburn. Now, what makes me laugh, because I did not know this, I was corrected by the people on Reddit, on Twitter, love our social media following. Auburn is closer to Chicago than it is to San Antonio. I'm sorry to my geography teacher. I did not know that. Gus, it's something like 45 minutes, but it is technically closer to Chicago. So Auburn will be the number 2 overall seed. They'll be number 1 in the Midwest in Chicago. Thoughts?
Very good. I'm very okay with that. They are definitely along the 1 seed line, and I think it's just a matter of where you want to place them. So if you want to, get fickle, if they're going to go to San Antonio or go to Chicago, I'm fine with that.
Next, this is where it gets frisky. A couple options, Gus. You could go with Arizona.
Sure.
Who's 23-2. They're 5-2 against Quad 1, a very solid 57 non-conference strength of schedule.
Absolutely.
Or do you go Kentucky, who's 21-5? They are 5-5 against Quad 1, but 118th in non-conference strength of schedule. 29th overall, Augustin strength schedule because of the SEC. I don't see another team. Maybe Baylor. Baylor's 21-5. They're 9-4. They have 9 Quad 1 wins, but they do have the bad Quad 2 loss,
correct,
of which the others do not. They had a bad loss there to Oklahoma State at home, 61-54. Where do you think we go for the third number 1 seed?
I think this is exactly where we see how much injury or time away affects the seeding. I think we get into it right here. So we have Kentucky that lost a couple of games with Ty Washington. We also have Baylor that lost a couple of games with James Akinjo and with Cryer. So I think we want to see and pay attention, how much do those injuries and those miscues that we just talked about weigh on the selection committee? I think I'm in on Arizona being the 2 out west with Gonzaga, and I'm okay with Kentucky holding one of these 1 seeds because of those losses that they lost without their starting point guard.
All right, I'll play devil's advocate for you, brother. I'm just staring at it now here. I'm using Warren Nolan. I mean, just a tremendous site. He should charge us for this.
He should.
His nitty-gritty report. I think I get feelings in the pit of my stomach when I look at the nitty-gritty report.
the good type of feelings, right?
I get what you're saying. Everything you're saying is true. But Baylor is 21-5. Kentucky's 21-5.
Correct.
Kentucky strength of schedule, non-conference 118, Baylor 94. Kentucky 5-5 versus Quad 1, Baylor 9-4.
Right.
I don't see how they put Kentucky over Baylor.
Okay.
I don't think they will. I love Kentucky. I think Kentucky is one of the top teams in the country. I think they are one of the best top 4 teams in the country. But I think they put Baylor as the 3rd seed, and I think they put them in the South in San Antonio, which is why, Gus, I think they'll give it to Arizona. And I think they'll send Arizona East as the 1 seed, making Kentucky the number 2 seed in the East in Philly. That's my guess, is that they will go Arizona, Kentucky's. I think Baylor is clearly the 3rd number 1. And I think they will put Arizona, Kentucky back to back, making that a loaded. Meaning Kentucky has a huge advantage if they make the Elite 8.
A huge advantage if they make it to the Elite 8. And also, I think this also puts the importance on those Quad 1 wins. When you have 9 and you take advantage of the opportunity that exists inside the Big 12 and with Baylor's non-conference schedule, and you bank and you cash in on those advantages, I think that makes sense. I also think that combined with some of the injury talk that we just mentioned earlier, that plays in Baylor's favor. I would give them one of those number 1 seeds. And I think the last one definitely comes down to Kentucky or Arizona. So I think I might go Kentucky, you might go Arizona. So I think that's maybe where our first disagreement might be.
All right. Then I think the clear next number 2. The Purdue people hate my guts. I think they get mad at this. I think it's Kansas. Am I missing? I don't think Nova. I think Purdue and Kansas both, Gus, have 8 Quad 1 wins, and Villanova has 6. So I think they're ahead of Nova. I think Nova is clearly a 2 seed. I have no problem with that. You can't put Houston. They don't have a Quad 1 win. I know the Houston people get mad. Houston, you are as 3 can be. Okay, 3 seed. That's what you are. I'm sorry. You don't have a Quad 1 win. You can't be there. What are you, North Carolina? We'll get to them in a little bit.
Correct.
So I don't know, Gus. What do you think? I'll read you the things. Kansas 21-4, Purdue 23-4, 2 more wins. Kansas strength of schedule, Jesus, 6th. Non-conference 71. Purdue's non-conference strength of schedule goes 218. Really brutal non-conference strength of schedule for Purdue. Kansas 8-3 against quad 1. Purdue 8-4. The only difference, Gus, is that Kansas lost a quad 2 game. Purdue did not. Kansas lost the neutral game to Dayton. Who do you think goes ahead there for the second and third number 2 seeds?
I would lean Kansas over Purdue.
I agree.
And then I think we can get into a decent argument that where does Duke fit in? Where does Villanova fit in for that last one? Does that make sense?
I agree with you. And then Duke, okay, very good. And then Duke versus Nova. Duke 22-4. Nova 20-6.
Right.
Gus, Nova 12 strength of schedule and 7 non-conference strength of schedule. The best strength of schedule metrics of any team we've discussed so far. Duke 65-95. Duke 5-1 against quad 1. Nova 6-5. The issue with Duke is that absolute brutal quad 3 loss at home to Virginia. That is a quad. I know it's Virginia and it's not, but it is. And I think they go by the metrics. So I think it's Nova. I think Duke's a 3 partner. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy, but I do think that they're going to show up with a different number next to their name. I think the conversation that we're having here, they're obviously, if they fall to that, I think they fall to the top 3 spot. But I think this is a greater conversation for the conferences overall, Mike. Don't you feel like Villanova inside the Big East has more opportunity for bigger wins, i.e. Providence, than Duke does inside the ACC? And who would have predicted that like last year? So it's odd how the dynamics have shifted so dramatically from the ACC being one of the top conferences, and you can argue one of the best conference for college basketball over the past 5 years. And now we're arguing, is the Big East like not even considered in the quote unquote Power 5? Like that's garbage anyway. But the Big East has more opportunity and is a better league, a better basketball league.
Couldn't say it any better. Totally agree with you. 3 seeds, so Duke or however you want to play it. I mean, they put Villanova as 3. That's not fair. That's just not fair. There's no number that supports that, but whatever. Maybe they name rank it. I don't know. Other 3 seeds possible, Gus?
I think we have to include Texas Tech in the conversation.
Yes, Texas Tech 20-6, 19 strength of schedule, 144 non-conference, but they have 6 quad 1 wins and no bad losses. Mm-hmm. Having 6 quad 1 wins and no bad losses is a 3 seed. That is exactly what that is. Texas Tech will be a 3. Excellent call.
I think along with Texas Tech, we have to include Illinois. And then you mentioned Houston earlier. So my question with Houston is, because of the lack of opportunity inside their conference and the opportunity to garner an absolute brutal loss, especially with their injury problems that they've run into, does that kick them down to the 4 seed or maybe even kick them out of the picture altogether?
I got to put this on Twitter tomorrow. I think Houston is a massive case study here. They are number 4 in the net. They are number 4 in the net, and we are debating whether they're even a 3 seed. Wow. They have 100 strength of schedule, 132 non-conference. That's horrific. 0-3 against quad 1, 6-1. That Memphis loss at home was not good. That hurts them.
Right.
Yeah, man. Normally, Houston is a 3, but they do have that bad. They don't even have a – last year, I think at this time, I remember they were 2-2 against quad 1. They have nothing. They have Zippo. They're going to be a 4. They will not be a 3. How can you argue to put them over Illinois? Illinois had the injuries with Coburn, okay, and Curbelo.
And Curbelo, yeah.
And Curbelo, yeah. 5-5 against quad 1, 6-2 against quad 2, 23 strength of schedule, 76 non-conference. Gus, what about Tennessee?
What about Providence?
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, probably get to Providence.
Yeah, I know.
Tennessee, 9th in the net. So they're the only team that we have not mentioned that's higher than everybody else we've talked about. Mm-hmm. 9th in the net, 19-6. They have the number 2 strength of schedule in the country.
Correct.
Number 2. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 2 is Tennessee. 16 non-conference. 5-6 against quad 1. No bad losses. Tennessee's going to get in this thing. Tennessee could be a 3 seed. Absolutely could. They're better than UCLA. I don't want to hear about UCLA with your 2 quad 2 losses. Enough of UCLA. I don't want to hear from those fans anymore. I can't take it anymore. No one. Anyway, there's no one else. No one else I see Wisconsin's got 8 quad 1 wins.
I think the argument now is, so if we're going to slot Texas Tech, Duke, and Illinois into the 3 seeds, who's going to garner that last 3 seed? Are we going to go Tennessee? Are we going to go UCLA? I think we've already moved Houston down to the 4 line. Do we include Wisconsin and Johnny Davis? This is where it kind of gets a little murky, doesn't it?
Wow, this is really hard.
It is hard.
Did we have Illinois for a 3 seed?
Yes, we have Illinois for a 3 seed.
They beat Wisconsin 80-67. They're going to get the seed over Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a solid 4. Badger fans totally agree with that.
Okay.
Providence. Here we go, Gus.
They have to be in the conversation, and I know recency is going to work against them because they did drop the home game where the dunk was like lit up, all pink. But they've put something really special together.
21-3, 46 strength of schedule, 122 non-conference. That's okay. It's fine. The same as Kentucky. They're non-conference. 4-2 against quad 1, only 4 quad 1 wins. 6-1 now in quad 2. The quad 2 losses. That loss that they had to Virginia by 18 points. Boy, Virginia's really screwing everybody on this list, huh? That Virginia should not.
They may not get in the tournament, but they're certainly going to affect some seed lines.
See, the problem is that should have been really a quad 3 loss. It was only a quad 2 because it was on a neutral, but it is barely hanging on, man, as a quad 2. It's really good. Is it possible that Providence is not getting the top 4? It's possible.
That's bananas.
Marquette 7-6. Marquette has probably a better schedule. They're 2-3 in quad 2, but they did beat Providence. They split.
I don't see how you could put. I mean, I guess you could. You could put Marquette ahead of Providence, but I think Providence sneaks in on one of those 4 lines.
How about Michigan State? Michigan State's going to get a chance to change this. They playing loss at Penn State.
I don't think they have enough.
Lost home Northwestern.
They don't have enough. I think we can safely say Wisconsin, Tennessee, UCLA, and then are we going to throw Houston that last 4 seed? And then,
because they're 4th in the net. If they love the net is their thing. They're not going to not rank the 4th team in the top 16. Otherwise, your thing's a sham. I would say they're 4th. They're 4th. You can put them as 15. You're not going to have them ranked, and then 4th in the net. They will be in the top 4. Yes.
So we're looking at maybe leaving out teams like Providence, USC, The Ohio State, Michigan State. Then we get down to Marquette, Connecticut.
Iowa fans, I want to hear about it. Iowa fans have the same number of quad 1 wins as you and I do. They're 0-6.
Iowa.
Iowa's 0-6. I don't want to hear about Iowa. They're number 19 in the net. They are ahead of Wisconsin by 1 in the net. I don't want to hear from my Iowa fans.
There's no chance Iowa's name is going to pop up.
0-6. What non-conference strength of schedule is that? I can't tell you the number because it looks like it's Keno. 273 non-conference.
Keto reference.
Yeah, sorry.
Tremendous. Okay, so I think we're going to settle with our 1s: Gonzaga, Auburn, Baylor, Arizona. Our 3s being Nova, Kansas, Purdue, Kentucky. Our 2s being Nova, Kansas, Purdue, Kentucky. Our 3s being Texas Tech, Duke, Illinois, maybe Wisconsin, maybe Tennessee. But our 4s being Wisconsin, Tennessee, UCLA, Houston, and then we have the Providence, Michigan State, USC dilemma there. So where does that last one fall? But I feel confident that we're going to get 14 out of 16.
I am absolutely. If you ask me to pick one thing, and then we will move on. God, I'm sorry this ran over, guys, but I love this. Gus is being nice to talking about it. I'll bet a finger that Kentucky is a 2 seed in the East. I don't think they will give them a 1 because I think Arizona and Baylor have a little bit stronger resumes. Kentucky will be. I mean, you want to say worst case, they're a 1 in the East? How about that? You could take what you want. Kentucky's going to be in the East, folks. And if you're a Kentucky fan, you're very happy about that. My guess is they are the top 2 seed and they are in the East. Arizona being shipped all the way out. That's my guess.
And I think the last team that we want to mention in here is maybe Alabama sneaks in with all of their massive wins that they do have on their resume. And, I mean, we'll talk maybe a little bit about Rutgers later, but Rutgers has, 4 as good wins as anybody else that we're talking about here. Obviously, they're not going to appear in this bracket show. We just hope they appear in the bracket overall. But those quad 1 wins are so valuable, and I think we're going to see the value of them this Saturday.
Gus, Alabama, really quick. 17-9, 7-5 in quad one. Very good. 4-2 in quad two. Frisky, 6-2 in quad three. Who they lose to in quad three? Missouri away. That's awful. And
Tough.
Georgia away. Oh my God. They will not be in there for those, but they do, Gus, to your point. Number 1 overall strength of schedule, like I said. Number 8 non-conference strength of schedule. Just compare that. They have 8 non-conference strength schedule. I was 273.
No thanks. I think they fall into the same boat as Michigan State. I think they are just on the outside looking in at the top 16 teams.
I'm just trying to see. Fresno's non-conference is 263. I mean, that's a brutal non-conference. I'm trying to see. Colorado's is 322. Gus, I'll end it.
Maybe Randy Bennett scheduled for them out of conference.
Gus, Iowa's non-conference.
You're stuck on this, huh?
Is in friend, you play anybody? Is 273. That's theirs. Norfolk State's non-conference is 246. Let's just move on.
Okay, very good. So I think the next thing we want to do is dive into the notebook a tiny bit and take a look at some of the things that you and I have been both paying attention to and that we have some notes on. And you just posed the question, and then we'll try to break it down and figure it out because it's a legit question. Right. I think we were all excited about the Mountain West earlier, but you went ahead and asked the question, what?
Yeah, we shared the notebook here, and I just put a question, and I wrote it to Gus today. Gus, what the hell happened to Utah State?
I don't know. Well, I know, but let's talk it out here. So they start off, Utah State, like a house of fire, right? Justin Bean looks like a legit All-America candidate. They have impressive wins. They beat Richmond. They beat New Mexico State, who's leading their conference. They beat Weber State, who's leading their conference. They beat Oklahoma, who is super bubblicious. Then they lose to Air Force, which was the head scratcher. And then I found the pivot point. That's where Brock Miller was lost.
Yes.
You think like, oh, wait, Brock Miller, the guy with the shaved head, and the three-point shooter who averages 9 points a game? Yeah, he's that pivotal to the success of that team and that program, obviously. Right after they lost that game to Air Force and lost Brock Miller to injury, they had a COVID-19 halt of play. That we've seen goes one way or the other. You were either going to go into a free fall or you're going to be Gonzaga not practicing and blowing Iowa out by 20 on the road like they did last year, which was bananas. Then that results in a 4-game losing streak and then another 4-game losing streak after that. Add to the equation that the Mountain West might actually have or hold 4 or 5 NCAA teams, and then you spiral into this lost season, even with Ryan Odom on the bench trying to guide things, and nobody can fix problems better than him because he's the only coach that owns the 16-1 upset in March Madness. So if he can't figure it out without Brock Miller, I don't know if many can. So what the hell happened to Utah State? Maybe all of those things, and maybe that's just scratching the surface. I'm not sure, Mike.
Yeah, I got lulled into sleep with them. I lost that Air Force bet. I remember that, and it went downhill from there. Excellent summary. I have nothing to add. Here's my second question, Gus. Can I ask you a question here?
Yeah.
What the hell happened to Providence the other
night? I think this is why people come to the podcast, just for simple questions like this. So I think before we answer the question, we could look at maybe not at what was at stake, but at least what was on the table or maybe in the deck. Like they had a legit path to a number 1 seed in the cards, and we just broke it down. Like I think we have them on the outside looking in as far as the top 4 seeds go. So they win this game and then maybe win out and maybe get to the finals in the Big East Conference in Madison Square Garden. Then you're looking at like a 4-loss team, maybe a 3-loss team, and that plays with inside the Big East. I don't know if we're going to deny that, but more to your point, more to your question, what the hell happened? There was no Watson for too many stretches, and the stretches were elongated longer than I would imagine you would want Watson out. He is one of the difference makers in that league, plays the old school game inside, absolute terror, draws fouls at a high rate, makes his free throws. He was missing in action. Reeves, who they've been missing and you thought that things would, the bus would, it would be, not dissimilar from Brock Miller for Utah State, where maybe they lose a key part and the wheels fall off. They played unbelievably well without him. And he finally looks like his former self after injury. This is the first game where I was like, oh man, he kind of looks normal, or he looks like he's back. He sat out for long stretches. If he's the hot hand, why wouldn't you ride him? Next point, I'm sure you saw this too. Why wouldn't you put the defensive ace, Justin Minaya, on the seemingly unstoppable, injured, and vertically challenged Colin Glovesy? Like, why wouldn't you put him on the best player on the floor who's destroying you from three and in the post? Put some length on him. And then I think we both saw what Ed Croswell did, the senior. I mean, were those plays not just like standing out and screaming to you on the screen? So I think that's what the hell happened. No Watson for stretches. Maybe play Reeves a few more minutes. Why isn't Minaya on Colin Gillespie? And what is Croswell doing in there? I know he shot well from the field, but his miscues, his miscues alone might have cost him the game.
All right, can I add something here? I have things to say.
Are you okay?
This one was so frustrating because
frustrating.
They should have covered number one. I thought this was a terribly coached game by Ed Cooley for so many reasons. Number one, I said it at the time, watching it with the whole family. Why is he pressing Villanova? I know that Providence presses. I've seen it. I get it. And I understand that Villanova doesn't have a bench. Gus, Providence doesn't have a bench either. Their bench is 279 in bench minutes. They're not that much better. So he extends the press, and what happens is you give their shooters open looks because you have to rotate in the half court. Justin Moore locks in. He carried them. He had 12 of their 18 points on 4 threes to start the game. That was a critical mistake. Number two, the Watson thing, it's been going on all year, man. He takes Watson out for long periods of time. I don't get it. It's happened all year. I've been saying it. I don't like Croswell. I think he's soft. I think he makes too many mistakes. He's the big guy that gets blocked. He's Charles Smith Redux, if you want to go back to the 90s.
Wow.
Fine. I don't like it. Now, second half starts. They're hot from three, Villanova. Providence is very good defending three, but wasn't that night. A.J. Reeves, who got 2 fouls to start the game, Gus, because they went to the press and he was reaching and had to sit, comes out in the second half on absolute fire. They don't have any offense going. Watson is struggling to score. Minaya was off that night. Durham's doing nothing. And Reeves is carrying them. He then takes Reeves out of the game to sub in Bynum. Bynum comes in, who has been spectacular this year.
Fantastic.
But Bynum took what my wife calls as a hero shot. They think they were down 3. They're making a move. Reeves is picking splinters out of his fanny. I think he sat for at least 8 minutes, which was a mistake. And then Bynum pulls up from 3 on the break after a big stop, which was a terrible miss. All of that being said, they still got back in the game and they should have covered. Why, with 50 seconds left, does he pull Watson off the court on a full court press to put in Croswell? You're telling me that Croswell is A, better defender than Watson, and B, Watson doesn't have foul trouble. He has 2 fouls. There was no reason to pull him off. Croswell gets beat deep. End of story. It was exactly what we said. They don't have a go-to guy. It's Bynum, but they were up on Bynum because Villanova has great guards, and they made their threes and they made their free throws. Really frustrating. I do like Providence. I wrote it up for 4 for 4 in prop swap. You can get them 105 to 1 right now. Somebody's trying to dump their national championship ticket. Mrs. Randall put a $10 bet in on them at 80 to 1. Fine. But it really was frustrating because you need that late game scorer, and it cannot be Jared Bynum. He's too short. And it's not Nate Watson. He's not Shaq. So it needs to be Reeves, and you cannot pull him off the court. I don't care how bad he is defensively for 8 minutes.
Mike, there's a couple of things I'm going to dive into on what you just mentioned there. Number one, we picked out that Bynum, as explosive and dynamic that he's been this season for Providence, still has trouble with length. That's something that is a real thing. So as great as he's been, that's still going to be a bugaboo for him and a craw in his side. Second thing, the wing position in basketball in general, whether it be on the NBA level or the college level, is supremely important. If you don't have that wing player that can play both ways, not just like Justin Minaya, who's going to be a defensive ace, and then maybe give you something offensively on the side, or maybe somebody that's going to be unbelievably offensively, like maybe a Champagny from St. John's, and maybe be a little bit suspect on the defensive end. If you can have a two-way wing, the value for that at the NBA level and the college level is invaluable. It really is, and I think this game pointed out, you mentioned more. I mean, we can bring up how they use Gillespie in both in the post and in the pick and roll. So not having that player to make that play on either end of the floor is really, really crucial. And that, to be honest, to go back to the national championship pick or whatever like that, that might be the thing that, besides the defense, that really bugs Purdue. Is Ivy good enough or tall enough or long enough to be that valuable wing? I'm not sure. The other teams that we mentioned have those types of players, but maybe Purdue, that's the one piece that they are missing. And it seemed like that Providence might have fallen into that category as well.
Especially because Al Durham was starting to heat up finally at the
Correct.
end of the game, going to basket, and Bynum pulls for three on the break. It was critical. Mrs. Randall got up, walked out of the living room, said this game is over. That when Bynum did it. It went from down three with the ball, Bynum shoots three, brick, come down, Villanova, and one.
Right.
She walked
so, it went from one possession to two possessions in the blink of an eye. Yes. All right. So let you any more questions from the notebook?
No,
or did that one wear you out?
That's enough. Put this on my bill.
Okay. Very good. All right, let's take a look ahead for the listeners out there, Mike. Let's look ahead with our Crespin viewpoint, our Kreskin viewpoint, where he tells the future and can do his magic. Friday night we have a couple of things to pay attention to. Ivy, the Friday Eve Ivy is fantastic. We have Penn Yale first place on the line. We have Jordan Dingle. We have Azar Swain. It's two of the leading scorers in the league. That's fantastic. We have Richmond VCU, Capital City Showdown. I'm sure our buddy Luke Neer will be locked into that one down in the Commonwealth. And then on Saturday, we kind of get it rolling, Mike. We have Illinois, Michigan State. Both of them have lost to Rutgers recently. We have Texas Tech, old beard, new beard, and Bama, Kentucky. I mean, that sounds like a perfect Saturday type game. Mike, anything that you want to talk about, mention, or highlight from any of those games on Saturday? And then I got a couple more for you to run down.
Yeah, let's go through it because as I played to start this podcast, I played our picks from last week on fire, partner. On fire there.
Oh, yeah. That went pretty well.
So I want to do it again. Ready? I'm looking at the picks for Friday night, and then you should just give me the Saturday ones. I'm just going gut reaction, partner. Here we go. Butler's playing too well. I'll take the 9 at St. John's. It's too much.
I agree.
It's too much. It's too many points.
I agree. Even though I really like St. John's makeup, I think it's time to get off the bus, and Butler has been playing well.
Siena -1 against Marist. Something is telling me to take Marist. I have no rationale for this. Coach Parm was great for us last week. He beat Iona outright. Great win. We took the 10, no problem. That game is very odd. It's like the Villanova game, laying 4.5. Why is it 1?
Do you feel like
is 11-13, Gus? Why is it 1 against Siena, who just knocked off Iona at home? Why?
Here's why. It is the big game hangover. Like the success hangover is a real thing. Like when you ramp up and have that big performance against whether it be the team in your conference or a non-conference game, like the next game that you play goes one of two ways. It either you continue the success or you fall on your face and then you have to reset. So it depends which way you're thinking. I'm thinking Siena is an okay team, not a great team. So the number of efforts that they have, I think they might have blown 1.5 efforts in that Iona game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out flat against Marist.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Siena has won 3 games in a row now. Fairfield, Iona, and Ryder. They went to OT away and they won that game. The zigzag theory holds. I've been seeing partner pretty much over 60% of the time. When one team wins the earlier game, or covers, the other team wins the subsequent game.
Correct.
First time they played, Marist lost at home to Siena 67-60. I will take Marist in this game. I think the line's too odd. It makes no sense to me.
I think if I were leaning one way or the other, I think I might go opposite, but I'm going to stand with the hangover effect and the hangover success. I think that's real. And when you take down a monster in your conference like Iona, I think I'm with you. I'll take Foxes as well.
3 more I want to throw at you, then we'll go to Saturday. I'm going to take our guy Gilliard on the road, getting 2.5 against VCU.
Yeah.
VCU won at Richmond. They were fantastic in that game. Now the game's at VCU. I know VCU's tough. They're really, really tough. Love the fight song, the whole thing. You're not turning Richmond over with Gilliard. You're not doing it. I like Richmond getting 2.5. What do you think?
I would lean the other way here. I think if it's 2.5, I think they're telling you something might be up and it might be closer than you think. But I'm going to say let's go with the home team here. And I think that VCU feels like they might be having something rolling and they might be building a quasi at-large bid type of resume. And this win would do nothing but secure it. Not secure it, but it would do nothing but enhance it. You got to win your home games against the teams that are tough in your league, and this is that opportunity. So I'm going to go other way, VCU.
2 more. The Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons are 11-6 in the horizon. Fantastic job by John Kaufman. They are looking very strong, sitting right near the top. They are laying 5.5. There's that number, partner, on the road at Green Bay, who has been god-awful. They have lost. They are 3-13 in conference, but their 2 wins are at home. They beat IUPUI. That's fine. No one's impressed unless it's Robert Morris. And Detroit Mercy at home. Big win there. I think they're covering the 5.5. I think 5.5 is too low. It's a frisky number. It's on the road. Down screen, back screen with Will Ryan. 5.5 against the Mastodons. What do you think?
I love that we're talking Mastodons. Shout out to John Conchar. I believe he's playing in the NBA for the Memphis Grizzlies. That is absolutely fantastic. I love that he's found a place inside the league after playing for Fort Wayne. And I'm going to say if you're bad inside one of these conferences, you're bad. Like winning against Detroit Mercy and IUP, like that, I don't think that's going to do it for me. I'll go the other way. I'm going to go Mastodons, and I'm going to say they're going to cover that and maybe even win by double digits.
Last one for Friday. Oakland has righted the ship.
They sure have.
I had a bit of a little rub there with Northern Kentucky and OT. Wright State, Youngstown State. Lost away at Wright State, 75-64. Back home in Oakland, Michigan, Wright State, they're laying 4. I'm grabbing it now while we're on the pod. Full unit bet. Oakland covers 4. 9 o'clock ESPN over Wright State at home.
I love that pick as well. You could make an argument that Jamal Cain is the player of the year inside the conference. He does everything for that team, and they're really secure at point guard. And we know that Coach Campy has been knocking on the door with NBA-ish talent on his roster. We mentioned Kendrick Nunn earlier. It's nice to come full circle with that conversation. I don't see why he wouldn't go ahead and finish the job here and go in with a high seed into the conference tournament and maybe win that thing and get the auto bid. So I like them as well. I've liked them all year. I think that they have NBA-ish talent on the roster again this year.
All right, got some on Saturday? Because I can do my quick check here. You want to go? Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, I'll lead us through Saturday. So, Mike, for Saturday, we have Illinois, Michigan State. We have Texas, Texas Tech, and we have Bama, Kentucky. Let's start with those 3. Are you feeling one way or notice something in one or all 3 of those games?
All right, read them in order here. First one.
Texas, Illinois, Michigan State. Again, both have lost to Rutgers, which is really interesting. And we had Illinois inside our bracket preview as a 3 seed, and we had Michigan State on the outside looking in.
Gut says Michigan State. Go, get you right here.
I think that they don't have anybody for Coburn inside, and you have to love how Plummer's shooting the ball.
Yeah,
he's shooting the ball like one of the best shooters in the country. I'm going to lean Illinois here, especially because that Rutgers loss is a little bit more recent in their mind. How about Texas Tech and Texas? This was interesting the first time around. What do you think for the second time around?
Texas lost to Texas Tech away by 13, 77-64. Now it's home. Give me the zigzag theory. Give me the payback here for
Yeah.
Texas. I'll take Texas in this game. Ken Pom has them favored by 1. Texas.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's not like Texas has had a terrible year, but if you come into the preseason ranked in the top 5 and then you have, you end up in the 20s, it's still a very successful season. It just doesn't live up to those expectations. Will this game help them live up to those preseason expectations? It could. I'm going to go Texas Tech. I love what they're doing on the defensive end, and I love that they're operating without a true point guard most of the time on the floor, can switch everything defensively. I think that it's going to be knock it out. If you're going to look at one thing, maybe take the under, but I'll lean Texas Tech. And then we got Bama, Kentucky. I mean, what else do you want on a Saturday day, college basketball day? Like that is the game, maybe.
Ooh.
Right.
Well,
right.
Kentucky beat Bama at home 66-55. It's 10, Gus. That's too much.
That's too much.
Too much. I'll take Nate Oates and Bama with the 10. It's too much.
Yeah, I agree. 10 is too much. Okay, let's go to a couple more quickies. Let's go Notre Dame and Wake. Notre Dame is currently, as we're recording, tied for first in the ACC, and Wake just might have the player of the year in Williams. So this game is really interesting, not only from neither of these teams are ranked, but both of these teams could find their way into the tournament, and both of them could win a game or two or more. And we're looking at one of the best players in the country on the Wake Forest side. So Notre Dame Wake, maybe a game that is going to get looked over, but we should really pay attention to it.
Mike Bray's done a superior job. 19-7, 12-3. Only losses in conference have been to BC back in December, to Virginia Tech away by 6, and to Duke at home by 14. Other than that, they've been great. I just think Wake Forest is continually undervalued. They're 20-7, 10-6, 2 consecutive losses for Wake. Miami at home, Duke on the road. I think Wake gets right here and pounds Notre Dame, especially if Leshevsky's out again. How many times can they win without him? I'll take Wake.
I am totally with you 100%. I was wondering which way you would go, and I was all in on Wake when I read this off, so I couldn't agree more for the reasons you stated. Okay, let's go 3 more. Let's go St. Louis and Davidson inside the A10. It's always a grind. Will Yuri Collins own the game? It seems like he's part Jedi, part point guard. He's been unbelievable as of late. This is a big game for both teams. I think many of us wrote off St. Louis. Shout out to our 3-bid league pod friends that said let's not give up on St. Louis quite yet. I'm not ready to be done with them. They said that beginning of the season, and they were completely right. So St. Louis, Davidson. Which way are you leaning there? We also have Oregon and Arizona, and then we have Long Beach State and UC Santa Barbara.
Boy, this Davidson St. Louis. I'm not going to pick it, Gus. I don't know. I don't have a feeling right now. It's so close. Do you have a feeling?
I have a feeling that Davidson is going to stretch this one out. I think it's a beautiful conflict of styles. St. Louis is going to guard you. Davidson's going to run beautiful offense. So which one do you think is going to win out? Will Yuri Collins play unbelievable again and stamp his name on the player of the year in the conference? I'm not sure. But if I was going to lean who's going to win this game, I think that Davidson and McKillop pull this one out. How about Arizona and Oregon, Mike? The Ducks are actually ahead of UCLA inside the Pac-12 standings. Did you think that was going to be something that we would hear after their brutal start to begin, and with UCLA, not dissimilar from Texas being inside of everybody's top 5 to begin with preseason, and then we can stick on the West Coast with Long Beach State and UC Santa Barbara. Long Beach State owns a 10-game winning streak in conference.
I think if it's really 17, Arizona by 17, I'll take Oregon.
Absolutely.
I know Oregon just lost to Arizona State tonight. They got absolutely slaughtered by 24. They lost 81-57.
Ouch.
That means the line will be a little higher. That's too many with Dana Altman, even though I know they've struggled. I will take them. The other game you said UC Santa Barbara, right?
Yeah, we have Long Beach State riding a 10-game win streak. They are atop the conference versus usual powerhouse UC Santa Barbara. And for UC Santa Barbara, they have Colin Welp, who is one of my favorite players out west. But Miles Norris has gone off for 30 points multiple games this season thus far. Is he going to have one of those games and keep it close for Santa Barbara, or could they even pull off the upset against the division-leading Long Beach State? I'm not. What do you say?
Yeah, Barbara. I'll take Barbara here at home. It looks like they'll be favored by 4, which will be fascinating.
That is fascinating.
I will take them. Zigzag theory holds. They lost on the road 65-58 to Long Beach the first time. I'll take the opposite and go there.
Listen, these streaks have to come to an end at some point, and when we get to mid-February like we are right now, maybe that might be the place. All right, Mike, last 2. BYU St. Mary's, well worth staying up for. And then we have Arkansas and Tennessee, one of the teams that we had inside our bracket, and then maybe another team that we could argue maybe on the outside looking in that we could make an argument for with Coach Muss and Arkansas. What do you think?
First one, I will definitely take St. Mary's. They lost 52-43 at BYU. I think they get right here. They're playing San Francisco tonight at home. BYU now going to have to go on the road up to Moraga to play. I am definitely going to take St. Mary's in that game.
I will definitely agree with you on St. Mary's over BYU. I think they slow it down just enough to make it work, and I think they bother Brisello just enough on the perimeter and maybe force him into a poor field goal shooting game. Maybe he'll go and get his 20, but he might need 17 shots to do so, and I think that works in St. Mary's advantage. And then Tennessee, Arkansas. If you don't think that Kentucky Bama is the game of the weekend, that might be it.
Tennessee, Arkansas. Here we go. The must bust. The game's at Arkansas. Tennessee is favored by 1. There is absolutely no way I'm passing on getting points with Muss at home right now. I'm just not doing it. Did they play early? They did not. This is the first time they're playing. Tennessee's had some big wins. I get it. I'm taking Muss at home. He beat Auburn at home by 4. What a win with a sling. Pounded West Virginia at home. A&M, gritty. Frank Martin went down. Missouri. They lost at home to Vandy, but that was years ago on January 4th. Give me the Muss bus, baby. Big Suey.
That place is on fire as of late. That atmosphere is going to be just absolutely ecstatic and through the roof. It's going to be very similar to the dunk up in Providence for the Providence Villanova game. So I'm with you on that. Let's go Arkansas big there. All right, Mike, do you have anything else for the listeners out there as far as where we can find what you're up to these days and maybe where you want to put some eyeballs or some eardrums?
Yeah, 2 more really quick just to throw them in. Syracuse is going to take Boston College to the woodshed on Saturday. So I don't care. Lay that 9, 10, 15. I don't care. Also, Vermont has gotten things right. Ryan Davis is out. Why is he out? Do you know? He's injured.
I don't know. Usually I'm following Vermont pretty closely, but I don't know why he's out. If you have the potential player of the year in conference out, that is definitely something to pay attention to. In a huge loss because he's averaging 18-ish points in conference and obviously is the leader in the clubhouse as far as player of the year inside the conference.
They bounced back after the loss away at Hartford. I wish I caught that he was out because I certainly would have taken Hartford. Without Davis, they went to New Hampshire and won by 21. They're going to stick it to UMBC at home. I don't care what that is. I think it's 15. If Davis plays, that line goes up. Either way, they're beating teams handily in the America East, looking like they're ready to get the automatic bid again. So I will lay that one as well. Where you can find me, Gus, a lot of fun stuff going on. I just started on Wednesday doing an NBA pick, props, sides, totals, whatever you want. 20-minute segment that is going to come back next Friday, February 25th. It will be back again, and then we will go every Wednesday and Friday from there. Also going to be doing some videos for them. I'm doing college basketball and pro picks for 4 for 4. So a lot of fun stuff going on. And SBR, I do some articles as well. So although tonight got the over-under, did not get New Mexico plus 7.5. Shame on me for not picking my Colorado State Rams.
Oh, I can't believe you went against David Roddy and Isaiah Stevens, Mike. What are we even doing there?
I thought it was 5-4, but no, 7.5. And it was close for a while, and they pulled away 5 minutes left, and that was it. Roddy, 31-9. What does that mean?
He's unbelievable. Again, please put him on your All-America lists. It's okay. We're giving you permission. We gave you permission, last month that it's okay to put him on All-America lists. Go ahead and do it out there. It's all right. David Roddy is worth that risk in the risk-reward equation. If you like what you're listening to, please don't forget to give the podcast a follow on Twitter at SDS Podcast. Efficiency of keystrokes, of course. And please, kindness is cool. We've actually received a couple of really nice, kind reviews over on Apple iTunes or podcasts. So whatever your podcast consumption, vehicle of choice is, go ahead and leave a nice review there. Kindness is always cool. We'll attempt to have some excellent guests that are going to put you in the know, whether it be for who's going to look good in conference tournaments or what players we might want to pay attention to. So we're working on that for the next couple of weeks as well. And, of course, give Mike a follow over at Randall Rant on Twitter as well. Listeners, thank you. Thank you for letting us keep you company during the college basketball season. Thanks for putting us as a part of your lineup of where you're going to get ready for the weekend for college basketball. And let's enjoy the hoops together this weekend. Cheers. Cilantro. Gratulazia. Arigato.
Bam, under in double overtime. Woo!
I'm addicted to the appetite.